Sir Peter Hayman is named by an MP as the diplomat whose diaries were mentioned in a child pornography case, and there's controversy about this use of parliamentary privilege. The name of Sir Peter Hayman, a former High Commissioner in Canada, was revealed, despite strong advice from the Attorney General, in two parliamentary questions tabled by Conservative MP Mr. Geoffrey Dickens. They asked if Sir Peter was to be prosecuted for sending pornographic material through the mail, and if security implications raised by his diaries would be investigated. They're due to be answered in writing tomorrow. But Liberal leader Mr. David Steele voiced what appeared to be the feelings of many members of the House when he suggested to the Speaker that this use of parliamentary privilege was a very dubious precedent. Gavin Hewitt has been looking at the background to the questions.
The naming of Sir Peter Hayman on the Commons order paper will inevitably raise questions as to whether a man with a distinguished career in the diplomatic service could have become a potential target for blackmail. In the 1950s, he served on the British delegation to NATO. By 1964, he was Deputy Commandant to the British military government in West Berlin. By 1970, he was submitting his credentials to the Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau as the new High Commissioner, a post he remained in until he retired in 1974. 2 years ago, Sir Peter appeared on the television programme Mastermind. He had listed his recreations as shooting, fishing and travel. He's a member of the MCC and two London clubs, the Army and Navy and the Travellers. He's also governor of International Student House in London. Police were led to Sir Peter's London flat after they found a package of pornography which had been left on a bus. From material discovered at the flat, the police prepared a case which was forwarded to the Director of Public Prosecutions, Sir Thomas Hetherington. He decided against prosecution because there was no question of financial gain or sending material to people who didn't want it. Tory MP Geoffrey Dickens said that one of the reasons he had named Sir Peter in Parliament was to remove the possibility of future blackmail. The wisdom of such action hasn't been shared by all MPs. Sir Peter Hayman lives at a Georgian house in the village of Checkendon in Oxfordshire. He's married with a son and a daughter and is said by relatives to be away on a motoring holiday in the south of France. Both he and his wife were active in the community, and in a village that is close-knit, the naming of Sir Peter in Parliament has left people in disbelief. Both he and his wife were regular churchgoers, Sir Peter being a sidesman until he resigned recently.
Well, I think in any community, do we really know our neighbours? But I think within the community, Sir Peter was a man who was very well liked and, contributed very much to the community.
How was he regarded in the village?
Well, I think he was well liked, and his wife with him, and they together both joined in, many village activities.
There was considerable concern in the House of Commons today about the naming of Sir Peter. Tory MP Cyril Townsend said, if he's committed any offence, the law must take its course. If not, he should not be hounded by politicians. And Liberal leader David Steele warned about bandying names about in the chamber, which would create a very dangerous precedent. The Speaker replied that he had studied today's order paper with special care because of the publicity there had been.
The House is also aware that the privilege of free speech and protection which we enjoy in this House is our most cherished possession. It's the one that gives real significance and power to this House. And therefore there is a special obligation on us all to make sure that we never abuse that privilege. The questions referred to by the right honourable gentleman were technically in order. Otherwise, they would not have appeared on the order paper. And I can really say no more.
There's been no word from Sir Peter Hayman direct today as regards his attitude to what's occurred in the House of Commons. His solicitor is Sir David Napley, who was asked whether Sir Peter was aware of the events now surrounding him.
He is aware. He knows about it because he's spoken on the telephone. He's abroad at the moment, but has spoken on the telephone.
Was he aware that this was going to be raised in Parliament, though?
Oh, I don't think he... No, I'm sure he wasn't aware of that, no.
Has he any views about the way it has been done?
Well, I don't know what his views are because I haven't canvassed them. I know what my views are. I think that naming him in the House of Commons was irresponsible. And the reason I think it's irresponsible is this, that I've always understood, and I gather the Attorney General said so, that there's been a convention in Parliament that you do not accuse a person of criminal offences unless they have been prosecuted or unless his name has been disclosed in a public inquiry. Well, now, I can well understand that there are circumstances in which it is necessary to raise matters in the House in public. But it is important to remember that in this case, a competent and responsible authority, knowing all the facts, such as they were, had decided that there shouldn't be a prosecution.